Welcome to How to Retire on Time, a show that answers your questions about all things retirement, including income, taxes, Social Security, healthcare, and more. This show is an extension of the book, How to Retire on Time, which you can grab today on Amazon, or you can go to www.howtoretireontime.com. My name is Mike Decker. I'm the author of the book, How to Retire on Time, but I'm also a licensed financial advisor, insurance agent, and tax professional, which means when it comes to financial topics, we can pretty much discuss whatever's on your mind. Now, that said, please remember this is just a show. Everything you hear should be considered informational, not financial advice. With me in the studio today is my colleague, Mr. David Franson. David, thank you for being here.
Hello, thank you.
David's going to be reading your questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. Now, you can send your questions in two ways. One way is by texting us to 913-363-1234. That's 913-363-1234. Or email us your questions to heymike@howtoretireontime.com. Let's begin.
Hey, Mike, I want to retire, but I'm scared that I'll run out of money. I don't want an annuity because I don't want to lock up my money. I also don't want my money to go into the market because I don't want to lose anything. I'm running out of options. Do you have any ideas for a person like me?
Yeah, this is a very common situation, actually, especially with the current environment that we're in. Politically speaking, economically speaking, the debt that looms over people's head, and the list just seems to go on and on and on. I want to highlight a couple of cognitive financial distortions that may be at play here and ask yourself, does it sound like me? Okay, so the first one is focusing on detriments only. When you're in a reactive position, when you're in a fear-based position, many times you may find yourself focusing only on the detriments of an investment, product, or strategy and not recognizing the associated benefits. There's no such thing as a perfect investment product or strategy. It doesn't exist. Nothing does everything well. However, there are always benefits to a strategy. Let me kind of highlight what that is. CDs is one of my favorite examples because it's so simple. A CD is a cash alternative. It's a product from a bank. And you basically say, all right, I'm going to give you the cash. I'm going to get it at a fixed rate. I know exactly what I'm going to get for a certain period of time, and then I get the cash back plus interest. Not all CDs offer the same amount, so we want to make sure we don't associate all things to be the same. So you can get a CD for around 5% today. You can also get a CD for around 0.5% today. So don't confuse offer with product.
Okay,
so that's the first one. The second thing here is the all-in investment ideology. So when an investor thinks they have to go all in on a single investment product or strategy, that can distort things. So the idea is, I want the perfect investment. What's the right investment? What's the right blend? Is it 60-40 split between stocks and bond funds? Is it 80-20? Is it 20-80 split between? It's an impossible endeavor. And you go down this rabbit hole of, well, I need to be all in the market to keep up with inflation and have liquidity. It's got risk. So how much risk am I going to take? It's an insatiable endeavor because bond funds or bonds, it's an uncorrelated market to stocks or equities, the other side of your traditional portfolio. Both can go up at the same time, both can go down at the same time, and they can go opposite of each other. So one can go up while the other goes down.
okay.
So the idea that you can magically figure out the right blend to it would suggest that you also know the future. And then the antithesis of this all-in investment idea is, well, I can't get the blend right. I can't afford to take the risk. And gosh, the past few years, the bond funds have really, really hurt me. I'm tired of that. I now know that there's risk associated with it. So I'm just going to go all in on an annuity. Notice the hyperbolic nature. I'm going to go all in on an annuity. I'm going to guarantee my income for life. And I'm just going to hope that things work out in the end. That's the all-in side, which kind of peppers in the catastrophization of these distortions. When an individual moves into a position of fear, focus on the worst-case scenario and ultimately prevents them from making healthy financial decisions moving forward. And this question, it seems very relevant to me, very apparent that all three may be at play here. So how do you get through this? First off, you need to understand that you don't need to have the all-in mentality. So if you were to take your portfolio and diversify it based on objectives, that may give some relief. So let me explain what that means.
Okay.
To diversify based on objectives would suggest that you've already put together a lifestyle and legacy plan. Maybe you want to travel extensively for the first 5 years of your retirement and then your income drops off. Maybe you don't care about traveling in retirement, but you want to go heavy on the legacy planning. Whatever the situation is, you've put together a plan. So now you have guidelines on what needs to happen for you to live the life that you want and leave the legacy you want. Then you look at the strategies, that's tax efficiencies, looking at healthcare planning, looking at Social Security optimization, all the strategies that could be at play to help increase efficiency within your plan. And then you look at products, investments, and so on. Once you start looking at that, then you can start making decisions like, okay, well, I'm comfortable with risk, so maybe we only have 10, 20, 30% of it protected. Maybe you say, I'm more focused on preservation, so we're going to look at, let's say, 50, 60%. Cannot lose money. But do you see how you're making deliberate decisions moving forward?
Yeah.
Based on objectives. And it's not as ambiguous as, well, I feel that I don't want to take a lot of risk. That's sentiment. We follow systems, not sentiment. It means, hey, I need X amount of income next year, the year after, the year after. I want that to come from a principal guaranteed source. So you might ladder CDs and treasuries for those first 3 years because you're okay with that. Hey, maybe I don't want to be that secure. I want more growth potential. And so you just have a smaller reservoir of principal guaranteed accounts so that if the markets were to go down 1 or 2 of the first 5 years of your retirement, you had it set aside for that situation. But do you see how we're getting more detailed on how to say, not if, but when the markets go down, I know what to do.
Yeah.
So that I'm not losing sleep at night. That's a deliberate way to start addressing the fears that may be there. It's very interesting to have a conversation with someone and to ask them, if you don't need to touch, let's say, this 10 or 20% of your portfolio for 10 to 15 years, would you be concerned if the markets went down next year, knowing that you had 9 to 14 years more? And they usually go, no, if I didn't have to touch it for 9, 10, 12 years or whatever, no, I'm not as concerned about that. Okay. So then what you're telling me is you're comfortable taking some risk, knowing that you have a long time frame to let it grow. Yeah. And you're not scared about the market if the markets went down next year or the year after, because you've allocated some of your assets not to bond funds, because bond funds can lose money, but to something that you understand and has some entity guaranteeing its principal. And they go, yeah, that makes more sense. So I think that's the first part of addressing this conundrum. The second part is the fear of running out of money. I can't say this enough. Growth is such an important part of any retirement plan.
Yeah.
Think of what your life was 20 years ago. You weren't buying an iPhone
No.
20 years ago.
Nope.
Okay.
Mhm.
The things that we are enjoying as luxuries today, the lifestyle that we're enjoying today, it's pretty different than it was 20 years ago. So how could we possibly assume the lifestyle that we want to live, the things we want to buy in 10 years from now or 20 years from now? It's hard to plan for that. So when you focus on growth, what you're doing here is you're essentially growing your portfolio to offer you more flexibility in the future. That's the point of growth.
Yeah.
And it's important to focus on long-term growth that does have risk. So it's growth potential with risk, but there's more growth potential because you're also taking risk. And growth potential with principal protection. When you blend the two together, you're not on the roller coaster like it would be if you were all at risk, or you wouldn't be lacking the growth potential if everything was protected in, let's say, CDs or whatever. You want to avoid these extremes. And then the last thing I would suggest for someone is consider creating experiences within the risk realm that would allow you to be comfortable. So, for example, if you put, let's say, $50,000 of your $1 million portfolio in an appropriate risk model or mutual fund or ETF or whatever it is, and you said, I know this has risk. I know I don't need to touch it for 10 years. I know that when I check it in 1 month's time, if it goes down, I can be okay with that because I know I don't need to touch it. Do you see how you are programming your subconscious, the part of your brain that creates emotions, that really takes over your decisions when you become in a flooded state, when you're stressed. You're reprogramming that so that you can become comfortable with these situations. Experiences influence your ability to make decisions. Your decisions shape your results. If all you remember in life when it comes to investments are making investment decisions that didn't work out so well, you're going to have a bias against taking risk. It is a bias, and it needs to be overcome. If your memory only focuses on all the stocks and the funds that you purchased that only made money, you have a bias that may take you to a more risky portfolio than would be appropriate.
Right. Got it.
Experiences shape our bias. And that's why it's important to make sure that there's a third party, and this is my biased opinion, but bringing in a third party to say, hey, you might not want to take that much risk. Maybe you want to smooth things out a little bit over here. Maybe you want to put some more protection over here. That kind of challenges your thought process to bring you into a healthy balance as opposed to a biased position one way or the other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Allow yourself to learn new skills and new behavior. That's really the gist of it. And by the way, if you are nervous about running out of money, if you are nervous about the next market crash, we can help. So we have this program. It's called Your Wealth Analysis. And what it does is it runs a comprehensive analysis for your retirement plan, whether you're 50, 55 years old preparing for retirement, or you are retired, to say, am I taking too much risk? Am I not taking enough risk? Do I have enough growth potential? Do I have enough protection? All these different nuances. It shapes the first version of a plan. Then it looks at the strategies. Specifically, we focus on tax strategies. And then it dives into what the portfolio should look like. The portfolio should support the plan, not the other way around. And so we dive into this and we challenge people's thoughts processes to ask one question: is what you are doing what is right for you? If the answer is yes, then great. If the answer is no, then you make adjustments. But you can't solve problems you don't know exist. That's the point of your wealth analysis. And if you want to grab your wealth analysis, if you want to request one, you can do it right now. You can text us analysis to 913-363-1234. That's keyword analysis to 913-363-1234. Or you can just go to yourwealthanalysis.com to learn more about it. But here's what happens when you text the analysis. You get a link. On the link, you fill out a 10-question, really generalized questionnaire.
Yeah, right.
You fill out a couple of things out there. Then you schedule a 30-minute call with me and my team. And then we're going to walk you through the 30-minute call, understand what you want when it comes to your lifestyle legacy plan. We run the analysis. And then we'll spend 60 minutes with you going through simulation, stress testing, shaping your lifestyle legacy plan, and so on, and really quantify, can you afford to retire with the lifestyle you want and leave the legacy you want? Are you missing tax strategies? Are you missing opportunities? Is your plan and your portfolio efficient, or is it inefficient? I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're trying to create a situation that you can get 1%, 2%, 3% more growth potential at the very least through efficiencies. You can text analysis right now to 913-363-1234. That's analysis, 913-363-1234. Or you can go to www.yourwealthanalysis today. to request your no-cost analysis with me and my team. That's all the time we've got for the show today. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing to it wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for How to Retire on Time. Discover if your portfolio is built to weather flat market cycles or if you're missing tax minimization opportunities that you may not even know exist. Explore strategies that may be able to help you lower your overall risk while potentially increasing your overall growth and lifestyle flexibility. This is not your ordinary financial analysis. Learn more about Your Wealth Analysis and what it could do for you regardless of your age, asset, or target retirement date. Go to www.yourwealthanalysis.com today to learn more and get started.